actually got you guys on a point in time where I'm sitting down doing nothing for a minute. I feel the need to, after some significant confrontations with some individuals, um, to explain something. Um, I know I'm not perfect. I have yet to meet somebody who is, and that includes pastors, preachers, and anything else that you want to call these people of God. I swear, as much as a sailor does on a sinking ship, my life isn't always put together. It's not always perfect, but it's ours, and I own that. Um, I became a chaplain during a time in my life where I needed to be able to see the path, where I needed a direction other than where I was. I had been in a dark place and I was coming out of that dark place, and I felt this overwhelming need to help other people. And a friend of mine who I knew through church came to me and said, God needs you to do this. Because I don't care who you are or how much you speak to God or what you do. Sometimes you have this ability or need to just, you don't want to accept what you're being told. You kind of don't hear it. I don't know. You don't really hear it, or you don't want to listen, or you're not ready to listen, or you need somebody else to tell you because it seems so far fetched or so far out in left field that you're like, no, 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 no. So you just kind of deny it. Well, what she was referring to was a chaplaincy program that had come available. Um, but she wasn't the first one. Somebody else came to me and told me, God told me to tell you, you need to do this. And then somebody else came to me because I'm like, Lord, I can't afford this. This is an expensive program. It's very involved. There's a lot of studying. I don't know if I have the time or the money. And then somebody else came to me and handed me the money I needed to enroll in this program to become a chaplain and said, God said you needed somebody to invest in you. At the time, I really, really needed that because I didn't feel like anybody was invested in me. I was getting along. I had hit a plateau, and I felt like nobody was invested in me. That here I had invested absolutely everything I had in others, and I had given everything I possibly could. And then here come these people that I barely knew, and they sought me out, told me these things. So I finally sat down and prayed with my mom and Christ. She's not my mom. She's my spiritual mom. Um and this wasn't long after my mom had passed away. And I decided to take on the chaplaincy program, which also meant that I needed to become ordained as a minister. Um, to which the bishop said, "It's about time. We've been waiting for you for a very long while." Because I've always had this way of being able to tell people what they needed to hear when they needed to hear it, especially since I talked to God and angels and everything else. I was always able to relay a message at the appropriate time when somebody needed it, regardless of who they were. The biggest thing that you need to understand about this church, during our conferences, there's over 5,000 people present. Most of us don't really know each other because there's no way that you can actually know that many people in person. I'm sure you could, but you're not really going to know them. Just like being on Facebook and having thousands of followers, you may know a few of them, but you really don't know all of them. It's not possible. So I became a chaplain, and it allowed me to be available for friends and strangers during some of the darkest times in their lives. And a lot of people would go, "I don't know how you do this, having dealt with what you dealt with." That's the thing, though. Sometimes when you've been through the darkness, when you've been through the chaos, when you've been through hell and back, literally or figuratively, um, it's you can meet others where they are in the darkness, where somebody that's never been through that, they can empathize, but they can't understand. And you may not be able to understand fully what they're experiencing in their own journey, but you can understand what they're going through and how hard it is and how much it sucks. And you can be that beacon of hope and light when nobody else is. Over the years, it ended up giving me the nickname Chaos. Um, Chaos because there's a running joke amongst the military that I bring chaos. The thing is I don't necessarily bring chaos. I just innately am where chaos will be. But it wasn't just chaos, it was chaos coordinator. What it meant was, in the midst of the storm, in the middle of the chaos, I could find order. Even when everything seems absolutely out of control, I can find order. I can find peace. And I can find the way out. So the name Chaos Coordinator kind of came about from that. Because in the chaos of life, in the chaos of darkness, in the chaos of absolute horribleness, I am able to find calm and instill that on others. I am able to help things make sense, even when they don't make sense. I am able to help sort through it so that you can see the way out. So I became Chaos Coordinator. But there's something else that I like to emphasize about chaos. Not all chaos is terrible. There is the chaos of having kids, and they are always a blessing. Where the dishes are dirty, the laundry's not done, the house is falling apart around you, the children are running back and forth screaming and yelling. It's chaos. But when you can step away from it, when you can step outside of the chaos, it's beautiful. And it's amazing. And it's wonderful. All you women, I mean real women out there, can understand fully birth is chaos. Becoming a mother is chaos. Your hormones are insane. Your body is doing things that you never imagined it could do. It turns your world upside down and in a fury of chaos. No matter how coordinated it is, something beautiful happens. You have brought life into the world, and it is beautiful. And it is our job as parents to maintain the chaos, to calm the chaos, to quell the chaos, to find order and understanding and ways forward amongst the chaos, so that we can raise these amazing human beings that will go on to do other things. And if you've seen any of my other videos, especially about Chase, he was most definitely chaos. He still kind of is. Probably always will be. But it's not bad chaos. Not all chaos has to be bad. It can be wonderful and beautiful and amazing. We just have to be able to step outside the chaos to either find our way forward or see the beauty in it. It's look at a wildfire. A wildfire is absolutely devastating and complete and total utter chaos. It can be uncontrolled and dangerous, or it can be controlled and maintained. But either way, it is chaos. But there are some species that absolutely have to have that chaos or they will not live. So through chaos comes beauty, and that is where my name comes from. And I know it kind of like weirds people out that they're like, there's no way you're a minister and all this stuff. I did it because I was called to do it. And I'd been doing this most of my life, not even realizing it. It just was. But what these people gave me is they gave me a path when I couldn't see my own path. And it helped me get back to where I needed to be in it. Chaos and beauty within its own right. So I became a chaplain. I was a chaplain for many years. I still retain that, but I'm no longer with the American Association of Chaplains. The church that I did my credentials through, a lot of iffy things started happening. Me and a few other, I say elders, but I am like the youngest amongst them. And I mean, I am way younger than they are. We started asking questions and talking to the bishops about some things that we saw going on that we were very concerned about. And we were met with hostility and aggression. And pretty much told, well, if you have a problem with it, leave. To which we all gathered and prayed together and decided that that was no longer where God wanted us to be. But we also came to the conclusion that God works in his own way, as he always does. We know this. But he brought us all together within that church because he needed all of us to be together so that we could understand our own strength and ability and we could help each other through some really bad things. And if it wasn't for that church, we would have never have come together as our own group of people. And we don't necessarily always call ourselves a congregation, but we are a congregation of our own right. And we minister to each other and we minister to others. And we don't actually have a physical church of ourselves. We really don't have a name of our, we never named ourselves, we never named our church. It's not a physical location, it is wherever we are called to go. But that's the way I have firmly and always believed that's what was meant. Um, when the Bible said that I am everywhere, turn over a stone and I am there. It's God doesn't always have to be in a building. So we go where we feel we are needed. We talk to people when we feel the need to do so. We help people. It's what we do. And through that, we've all become, finished our credentials through other churches and other things that have supported us. Um, but during all this, everybody thinks this is interesting, and really, to me, it isn't. It's just kind of mundane to me. Um, when I came to this church before I was ordained as a minister, they decided to put upon me an apostleship. I'm not a fan of that title, mainly because of how it's currently being used within churches. I don't like it. Weirds people out that I can see demons, especially when they're being highly aggressive and going after people. But we were in the middle of a church service, and we were getting ready to ordain a new bunch of ministers, including myself. They were gonna. It was my official ordination, even though I had already been ordained. Um, I had the entire day. I had seen something dark in the room. Um, it was like this heavy feeling, something. Even though all the lights were on and up fully in the auditorium, the building was dark and like creepy dark. Um, it was making me defensive. It was agitating people. It was causing a little bit of discord amongst individuals, and you could just feel it. And my spiritual mom, she comes up to me and she goes, "Something's wrong. I need to pray." And I said, "I agree." I said, "I'm gonna go tell the others something's up." And I almost took out the bishop. He went to go tap me on the shoulder, and I automatically reacted and almost took him out. Spun around, caught his arm, and had my fist raised to punch him in the face. That was it. Total and complete reaction. I don't even know why I reacted that way. It had to be because of what was in the room. It was putting everybody on edge. Plus, you don't sneak up behind me. I've been attacked before, and it's just an automatic reaction. And I apologized profusely to him, and he was like, "Okay," and then he went about his business, and we had gotten kind of started a little early with some stuff, waiting on everybody else to show up, and I could see this thing take form and move very quickly along the right wall. And I turned around, my spiritual mom's on her knees praying with her face covered, and I walked forward, tracing this thing, watching it, and the rest of the people that I'm personally friends with were on their knees praying. I never had to say a thing. They just felt this immediate need. One of the bishops walks up next to me and goes, "What's going on?" I said, "There's something here." He looks at me kind of funny. I'm watching it move through the building, and he goes, "What do you mean there's something here?" I said, "Don't you see the demon?" And he looks at me really weird, really shocked, because this is not something Christians normally speak about. And I turned around and looked directly at it, very boldly stated, "In the name of God, I demand you stop." It stopped on the stage in a black form. It turned to me, because it's got a shape of a person without having actual physical form. Looked at me, charged the head of the church. To which the bishop gasps, looks at me, and I yell, I said, in the name of the Lord, I command you to halt. It struck the bishop. Um, I was told at that point in time, while they were running camera tests, I emitted this massive white glow. I don't know. It was on camera. I don't. It's not something I saw. Um. Uh. I kind of moved over towards the stage, to at which point in time, because the head of the church was down, his security kind of freaks out. They're looking at me. They're trying to figure out what's going on because they didn't see it. Um. I start very loudly muttering prayers, to which everybody that's there's probably close to 1,000 people in the church at this point in time, kind of turn to me and look at the head of the church, um, and then all the bishops at this point in time have gathered around him along with his security, have grabbed him and started taking him to a back room. The thing tries to follow. I yelled pretty loudly that everyone needed to pray, to which the pastors at that point in time put their hands up in the air and began praying loudly, and because everybody's kind of figuring out, head of the church is down, people need to pray. I got it cornered, got it away from him, and then we lost track of it. The head of the church had actually went into cardiac arrest, to which, after I sent one of my spiritual mother to his dressing room, they wouldn't let her in, but she laid her hands on the door, and they said right about that time, because we're getting updates from security, because security's now following me around, like, what the hell's up? He stopped being in AFib or whatever it was, and his heart went back to complete normal. He refused to go to the hospital. He rested in his dressing room for a while, and they went on with the ordination, trying to relieve the chaos. Plus, at this point in time, there's close to like 4,000 people, if not more, in the auditorium, expecting this ceremony to get underway. Because it was a really big thing for all these heads of these different churches to not just be ordained by their church, but to be ordained by this particular church. He was doing a little bit better, so they brought out a chair because he liked to be a part of this, and blessing the new group of ministers, pastors, and chaplains. Chaplains, we actually did our own separate ceremony after we finished our education and learning. But this was the ministerial end. As we were going through this, I had turned around and they did their blessings with me. The only thing that they picked up on camera when they got my picture was this giant glowing orb. Hang on, children. um, but yeah, that was entertaining because all the pictures that I have of me, and they ended up deleting most of them because they're like, well, it has to be a camera flare. Apparently not. Pictures taken from multiple different angles from friends that were all seated in different parts of the auditorium. All same thing, big glowing light on stage. I don't know, whatever. But I felt and saw it come back, and it was like they couldn't get past the bishops where they were blessing people. That was partially my fault. We did do a fairly decent barrier. there was this one Jamaican guy that was there to get his official ordination before returning back to Jamaica in his congregation, and something was just slightly off with him, but nothing super out of the ordinary for somebody not from the U.S. It just different mannerisms, different ways of being. Um, it's all good, but there was something not quite right with this guy. It was like it was almost like God was pointing out that he was weak